Welcome to Dive Adventures. Come join us and see what we're up to on our latest dive expedition. When I arrive at the marina, my dive partner Brian's there to meet me. Brian and I work great in the water and out. He and I have been diving for a few years together. Today is going to be a particularly challenging dive, with depths up to 70 feet, and water temperature at the bottom, a cold 42 degrees. It's definitely a day for dry suits to protect us from hypothermia at those cold and murky depths.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Dewey. And I see you already met my co-worker.
Yes.
So tell us what happened. What did you lose? Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
What's your Pickering?
I got you.
That's all right. What'd y'all lose?
Dock box.
And what's in the dock box?
Water.
Smart ass.
No, that's all it's in there. Everything like this. Yeah, as soon as that left, we grabbed it with the start box balls in.
Yeah.
Grab it, we got 2 items out of it. Got dog box up on there.
Okay.
Lift the top again to get some bolts and nuts. Bolt it down. Plug it and glue it back in again.
So what's on the bottom?
Anchor, ladder.
How many anchors? One anchor. How many ladders? 2 ladders.
Dock box.
The dock box.
I have no idea what else.
Anything else I find?
Whatever else.
Rolex watch is mine.
Yes, that's yours.
I wear a dry suit to protect myself from hypothermia. Hypothermia occurs when extreme cold lowers your body's core temperature to a point that your organs begin to shut down, eventually resulting in death. I wear thermal underwear underneath my dry suit to protect myself from the cold and to make sure that I don't get so cold that I can't think straight when I'm on the bottom of the lake. As I put my fins on, I start to think about what's on the bottom of the lake. This lake is covered with trees that have been there since the 1960s. Most people don't realize it, but trees are everywhere down there. There are branches and limbs that literally are still standing just like they were when the lake was flooded back in the mid-60s. On the bottom, there are real hazards. There are logs, stumps, all kinds of trash, fishing lines, rope, cables, and all kinds of things that can tangle you up. Now's the time to get serious before I jump into the water. I signal Brian to make sure that everything's okay. He taps on his head and tells me that everything's A-okay. It's time to go. It's go time, folks. Clear? Listen up. The first thing we did was to set a line down to the bottom with an anchor on it so I could follow it down to the bottom. I want to make sure that I don't get disoriented once I hit the bottom and to make sure I have a good reference point to know where to start from. The first thing I encounter are the actual rebar that's up underneath the dock. This actually holds the dock structure together, and I have to navigate around it before I descend into the murky depths. As I descend down the line, notice how it starts to get darker. That's because as we pass the first thermocline, all the ambient light from above doesn't shine into the murky depths. Notice how quickly it gets dark, in a hurry. Everything just went from light to dark in an instant. At this point, I'm passing 45 feet and the second thermocline in the lake. It is absolutely pitch black, and without the 6,000 lumen light in front of me, I wouldn't be able to see anything. I continue to descend towards the bottom cautiously because I know there's trees and limbs everywhere that are coming up to meet me. As I approach the bottom of the lake, I touch down into the silt. It literally explodes around me, sending a dust cloud that envelopes me and makes the water completely black. Diving in these circumstances is not for the faint of heart. With zero visibility, I have to be really careful at this point. My life depends on it. I really need to keep my senses and wits about me. This is where it gets really dangerous. One slip up at this point, and my life could be over. My airlines get tangled in the debris or in the trees, and I am in serious trouble. I've equalized my BC, which allows me to stay neutrally buoyant at the bottom. However, at this point, I make a mistake. I hit the silty bottom and everything turns instantly black once again. A few minutes pass and I start to search in a larger area. I catch a glimpse of something there off in the distance and I realize I've actually found the dock box. I quickly gather a few other items that I find on the bottom that have actually fallen with the dock box. Now to compound things, take a look at the trees that are coming out from the bottom. Yep, those are tall trees coming right out of the muck and the mud, sticking straight up, that I have to navigate when I pull up this dock box and all the gear that's inside of it. This is where it gets really dangerous. There are all kinds of fishing lines, ropes, cables, and other things that can snag you and keep you on the bottom forever. I've sped up part of the film here where I try to grab the dock box and figure out a way to maneuver it around all of these trees. I've speeded up the film here because it actually took me a while to figure out how to navigate around all of these obstacles on the bottom of the lake. Finally, it starts to move. I now need to get it to the surface as quickly as possible before I lose the contents. The dock box is finally free, but I'm having difficulty raising it to the surface. So believe it or not, I actually grab onto one of the trees. I pull myself up by this old tree that's been there for over 70 years and start to slowly work my way towards the surface. I inflate my buoyancy control vest to its fullest capacity, giving me extra lift as I struggle to reach the surface. I kick and pull as hard as I can at this point, struggling to reach the top as quickly as possible.
That was way over here. Obviously, there's a ton of trees down there. It's bad. There are trees everywhere down there. Standing straight up. Huge trees. Just go around.
Due to the fact that I was on the bottom for so long and the cold temperature of the water, I needed to go back down to do a decompression stop. So here I am headed back down
to 15 feet where I have to wait patiently for the nitrogen to work its way out of my body.
Nitrogen narcosis is serious business, also known as the bends. Without taking this precautionary step, I could have an embolism that could explode inside my body or inside my brain, causing instantaneous death or paralysis. Not something we want to fool around with. So while I'm waiting for the nitrogen to work its way out of my body, I'll say goodbye for now. Stay tuned, as we have many more adventures ahead of us. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please click the like button and leave comments below. Thanks, and we look forward to seeing you soon on the next dive adventure.